Check. Good. So I'm Max Ceron. Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding Podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding Podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association Podcast. My name is Max Ceron, and I'm here in sunny yet smoky Red Deer, Alberta, for our wonderful Welding Industry Day Conference 2025. Today has been a wonderful day of sessions and conversations and context and networking, and as a part of that, we have our wonderful sponsors stepping in to do some of the podcasts. Today's podcast, and this podcast, is sponsored by Cooper Heat Equipment. And with me today, I have Bruce Stewart, who is the Competency Manager and technical heat treatment for Tech Heat.
Yes.
How are you doing, Bruce?
Hey, great, thank you.
Awesome. So let's start with just today. How's it going so far today?
It's been really good. I put a presentation on earlier. I watched one earlier tonight, and it went really good. Very good engagement, a lot of good people, and everybody's in it for the same thing. So I think it's going really good.
Good. What was your presentation on?
It was up on our trade program development. So the heat treatment industry that Tech Heat's part of and Cooper's part of, we have field heat treatment technicians that actually trade across Canada, and it was about the program development that I helped out and put together with our organization.
So let's go back to I guess to where this story is going to start, and that's with you. So how did you find yourself in this line of work? At what point did the bug get you?
Well, that's going to go back a long way.
Yeah, that's all right.
These grays hair come with honesty. Yeah. So actually, that's a funny story because it was back in 1991 when I got into the heat treating industry itself here in Alberta, and I answered an advertisement in a local newspaper. I think it was the Edmonton Journal for a heat treating contractor. Had no idea what it was about. I think I was on unemployment at the time, and they mandated you to apply at so many jobs.
So many jobs a week. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So that's what happened. And when I went there and they explained it to me, had actually worked in the oil field a little bit, and I had seen it. It's a very specialized industry. So he was quite impressed, the manager at the time there, that I'd even knew what it was. Yeah. And it was like, you're good to go. You're starting on Sunday. And, and that's what happened. And I got into the oil field business that way. So I've been in this since 1991 in the heat treating industry.
So in 1991, I got into the business in 93. So in 1991, induction heating wasn't a big thing. It was around, but it was real expensive and mainly for smaller components.
Yeah, now, the induction side, the electrical resistance they were doing, that's what we got into.
Yeah, so I was kind of wondering what was the business like back then.
Yeah, well, it was a lot smaller than it is now. There was, in 1991, when I look back at it, there was probably only 15 to 20 people that would be considered that would be a full-time job.
Wow.
In this province.
Yeah.
They would probably have 30 or 40 people during shutdown times and stuff. But it's grown dramatically now.
Yeah.
So we have over 300 members that do this type of heat treating work.
Well, and it's
Canada
not just
now.
Shutdown time. Now it's actually part of welding process, preheats, postheats, annealments. It's kind of it's not a thing that was just for specific things. Like I remember when I first got into welding, the only time I'd have to worry about resistance heating or any of the heating processes was for AR plate or QT, and we're putting thick slabs onto other thick pieces. And
right,
I mean, now I think it's kind of become a part of a lot more processes.
Oh, yeah, it definitely has. They even do it on pipelines, which was predominantly just done by Tiger torches back in the old cowboy way. Yeah. So they're doing that. A lot of code changes to the industry and stuff like that. So yeah, you're 100% right. They do preheating that you talked about. When I worked in 1991, they didn't pay us to come preheat. Welders would do that with a Tiger torch. Yeah. Any other way, they're paying someone to do that specialized, and now they know probably half the work we do out there is preheating on components and stuff like that. So it just shows how it's evolved 100%.
Did you have a trades background before you got into the heat game?
No, in 1991, I graduated hhi school in 88. So I went to the oil field and I started a pipe fitter apprentice. I started a mason apprentice. I started a
few
before I figured out what I was getting into.
Yeah.
And then the heat treating industry that got me involved in 91. It's a very small, unique industry. Yeah. And it kind of traps you, and it's really hard to get out once you get in. I've tried to get out of this industry 3 times, but I just keep moving into different roles.
I've told people that too. I've tried quitting welding twice officially.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's these metal trades that we work in. Yeah. In the oil field we work in Alberta, it kind of gets in your soul, right? So it's, I know I've had a great career in it, and it turned out really well for me. So
you're talking about coming in 91, not that many technicians out there. specifically. And, I cut my teeth in Saskatchewan. There's a lot of obviously procedures and qualifications that require preheats and post heats and interpass temperatures. But it was predominantly, like I would say 99% torches or belchers or different types of propane or natural gas heating options, right?
Right.
Which is slow and messy and expensive and dangerous.
Yes.
Right. So in these last 30 years, what kind of advancements have you seen, industry take on?
Well, with the preheating stuff that we're talking about, a lot of code, what they've realized is if you actually do it properly, the actual end result is a better product that lasts a lot longer. So the development of the trade program that I was talking about today, where the heat treatment technician is actually recognized as a trade in Alberta and across Canada and New Brunswick and in Saskatchewan again this year. So you're from Saskatchewan. So that was some of the biggest changes to it, and actually them understanding and researching of how important it is to do. And that's how a lot of
and to do it right,
and to do it properly.
Not just throw torches on it and keep it spinning and good luck.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I imagine people welded a little bit differently in 1990 when you started than they do today too. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's how the heat treating industry has evolved too. The codes have changed. The things that we were doing in 1991 when I started are unacceptable today. We just didn't. They did things were completely wrong. Nobody cared about anything. So there's a lot more moral aspects to it today. People are doing it for good reasons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and the craft itself is a lot better recognized. We were treated like dirt.
Yeah, kind of bottom of the scale. Yeah.
Yeah, below the bottom of the scale because we were in a trade.
Right.
So and there wasn't any union organizations that were helping us out or anything like that. So, and I wouldn't throw shade on any craft or trade and stuff like that, but we were at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, and that must have been frustrating because you're supporting such an important part of the industry that obviously needed you.
Yeah,
it obviously needed this. How did you start gaining, or how did your field start gaining that recognition in industry like that? We got to pick up the phone and call these people. They're the specialists. We need them.
Right, and I think a lot of that came just as the Alberta kept expanding and booming, and
growing,
plants got bigger and bigger, and new materials started coming into place. And they recognized the need for heat treating was more important with these new materials. The mild steels that a lot of people were talking about, even at the last presentation at lunchtime, the carbon steels and stuff like that, they get away with torch preheating. They get away with some of these other.
There's not enough ingredients in there to mess with, really. Yeah.
Right, but as the power industry grew and we get with these creep strength enhanced ferritic steels and stainlesses and the higher chromes, that's where the preheating all our thing actually came to light. So it's just like everybody just figured it out on their own, and we were so happy that they actually respected what we had to do.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I was first started welding heavy industry, it was, there were stainlesses. Duplexes hadn't really been invented yet. And there was always a tendency to be careful with temperatures in stainless because it's obvious, like you sugar it out and it's done.
Right.
There's that scenario. But it wasn't until I started working with nickels and Inconels that we started really having to dial heats in, because it doesn't take much to go from the right temperature to too hot and ruining, $500,000 gear.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
And you can't trust a Tiger Torch to distribute the heat evenly enough that all of a sudden you're trying to get to 400 degrees over here and over there you're 800 degrees, and that's just not going to fly.
Yeah.
Right? So these specific materials, as they evolve, I'd imagine your industry has to evolve with it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's changed our industry. Like you said, that's why we've grown from that little handful of people that took care of it to where we're at today, is because of those material changes and process changes. And the Inconel and stuff that you're talking about, that's very specialized. Like there's only a handful of you welders that can even weld that stuff.
Yeah. It's not fun. Actually, when you get good, it's pretty fun, but it's hard to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
And the first time I work with any Inconel we're talking about, we do some high temperature annealing on that, which is quench annealing. So we'll take it up to 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit, then hot strip it. But that's for welding. It's for weldability issues.
For weldability,
yeah, completely different than what we normally do our heat treating with. So there's specialized processes like that we take care of in this industry too that I never saw in the 90s when I was doing it. Right.
Now, what about the scope of the size of things? I know that was always seen as something limited, and I had bosses tell me, because we started seeing some of the electrical resistance and induction systems come out, but they always seemed like for smaller pieces. When we had big grater blades that are 10 feet long, you're still pulling out the torches, but I've seen the technology now that you can kind of do anything now. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They can do what exactly the advance. We can do anything. They do bucket wheels. They do all kinds of stuff with preheating with electrical resistance. Induction's a lot different, with the bolt removals and stud removals and stuff like that. Very, very specialized. And the combustion side of things is where we turn things into a big oven. So now we can cook a whole vessel on site instead of having to put it somewhere else. Right. Well, that's always been around, but it's more commonplace today.
So, I was just going to ask, we used to have to send stuff in Saskatchewan to Alberta to get heat treated because, there were some smaller places around town. Now there's big ones, but 30 years ago, it was tough to get stuff pre-treated or heat treated properly and send and you would, and there wasn't great paper trail for it. There wasn't a lot of documentation. You kind of just trusted that things would go and then come back with stuff done to them. You know what I mean? That's changed obviously now.
Yeah, I think that's across the country. You can get a lot of heat treating done. The signatory contractors or the heat treating contractors we deal with, they cover everything from across Canada. In Saskatchewan, when I started the industry in 1991, the company I worked for at that time, we took care of everything from northern BC all the way to Manitoba.
Oh,
and there was only 2 or 3 heat treating companies that did that in this part, in the western part of Canada.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then, like I said, that was the 20 or 30 of us that took care of all that work. But because it had evolved,
that's going to be a good feeling, though. They need you.
Yeah.
You're not getting fired anytime soon.
No, that's for sure. In the early 90s, it was sporadic because there wasn't that much work going on. But then when the oil boom started going and stuff like that, there was heat treaters that, were working lots of hours all the time, making lots of money. And I think that's where a lot of the evolution of the industry came from too, because people were saying, look, I can actually make a career of this. It was tough in the early 90s when I started, probably in between some kind of 80s thing, between the 90s or something, because we weren't very busy. We'd be busy 3 or 4 or 5 months out of the year. You always had to have something else on the go. Where now young guys are coming into this and it's a career. They start off and they're raising families with this, and this is their only job and stuff.
So is it you work as a trainer now, specifically. Yeah, I got a note here. You help develop and deliver hands-on training across Canada. So that means to me that there's curriculum. There's how long is the course? What's the training process look like for what you do?
Well, the Quality Control Council, who I was with for the past 16 years before I started with Tech Heat just a little over a month ago here, we did develop the training program that's recognized through Alberta Apprenticeship and Industry Training. So it's an apprenticeship. So it's modeled after an apprenticeship. So it's a 4-year program. So every year, and a minimum 1,800 hours in a calendar year, they come back and they take a training course just like an apprenticeship. Except we're non-compulsory, so we don't have 6 weeks of training. Our courses are 1 to 2 weeks at a time, and it's making sure they get the hours and stuff like that, which is just a phenomenal story because, like I said, when we did it in the 90s, it was, hey,
Wild West.
5-minute training. This is how we do it, and this is the way it gets done. So the evolution of the training has been massive in the last 20 years, and the trade itself, we're a recognized trade in Alberta and New Brunswick, and we're going to be a recognized occupation in Saskatchewan.
And that's a lot of work. I've worked with provincial education systems to get new classes or courses running, and the amount of hoops you got to jump through is substantial.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know you did anything like that, because that's what my presentation today was on a little bit, and it is crazy.
It is crazy amount.
And the amount of people that actually had to collaborate to do this.
That's
competing contractors and everything. It was crazy.
It is, you think you got a good idea and something that's good for the industry, and then you have a couple people agree with you, and next thing you know, it's a 2-year project.
Yeah, that's how it was. And when they were putting that together in Alberta, I was actually on the operations side of the management from a heat treating contractor side, so I didn't get involved with the root causes. But as soon as it happened, then I've been involved with it ever since. So the work that they did, the founder did before I got involved is truly remarkable.
So where could someone go get this training? How does someone sign up?
Well, most of the time, the hardest thing about it is like any other thing. You have to get a job with the company that's doing it. And then after you get some experience and stuff like that, the minimum requirements are 1,000 hours, 6 months type thing. And then you
can
apply
for the apprenticeship.
Like apprenticeship training. Yeah. So and the Quality Control Council of Canada is the only recognized training provider across Canada.
Okay. And so, you said it's a week or 2 of training here and there, between accumulating your hours. Where would someone go to do that? Like these certified training centers?
We have a certified training center here in Edmonton. It's called the National Training Society. That's the flagship. That's the biggest one. And we have another full-time training center in Ontario, Brantford, Ontario, and as well as in St. John, New Brunswick.
Okay, so we cover the country.
Yeah, we cover all the country with those three branches.
And are you finding you're getting enough students coming in to meet the demand of what's required of the industry?
Well, we are, because it's a very small industry, so we don't get huge numbers. On a good year, we can get through 50. I think the best year we ever had, we had like 78 students come through, which is very small in any trade industry.
But not for a new one. Like, I mean,
no.
But going forward, I imagine that there's going to be some growth.
Yeah, there definitely will be growth with these hydrogen plants and the not I shouldn't say
SMRs and the nuclears and
exactly. Yeah, they all need heat treating to do.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Well, as we see here, the invention of new materials, new alloys, new filler and consumables, is I would say almost monthly. There's something new getting invented in the world, and the science that backs up these new processes is getting much more defined. It's not just like, oh, we need less manganese. It's like, no. We need less manganese and better weldability, and it's good at -40 and, right?
Yeah.
When they design these procedures now, when I look at these new consumables coming up, they're very specific for heat, very specific for all the data that's going in, the variables, essential variables coming in and out. I only see more opportunity for heat treatment, industry to grow, supporting the welding industry.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, those creep strength transfer, those P15Es, they're really changing the heat treating industry because they're realizing that if they're done improperly, that their service life is really reduced. Yeah. So they're really pushing. New codes have come out. There's a mandatory appendix in Section 1 now, mandatory appendix 8, which is the very first mandatory appendix regarding local post-weld heat treating, which our technicians do with electrical resistance ever. And that only came out 3 years ago. So that is massive that it's written into code now as a mandatory appendix.
And probably very necessary.
Yeah. And I said in 1991, there was nothing.
Absolutely.
But if there are a couple here, go. Give me your chart.
And here's your crayon that's within 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. The welder's in charge of the preheat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we would go up there and the welder would be at lunchtime.
Torches are just running all afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. Not dogging welding.
No, but it's really, that's very specific. I remember putting the torches on something, getting it spinning and going for lunch. Coming back and be like, oh, that's a couple 100 degrees too hot. Going to have to wait an hour, let it cool down a bit. Yeah. And then, okay, now I can weld. And that's a very imprecise way of doing things. Exactly. And a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? And a big waste of time.
Yeah.
Now, for the people that are listening and kind of don't understand what we're talking about, maybe we should do a quick little rundown on the products you guys have and how they work. Like, how are they different from each other and what are they used for?
Well, for the heat treating thing, most of the time that we talk about within the trade is for electrical resistance of local post-weld heat treating of piping and tubing. So a lot of components in the heat treating world are done in ovens, right? They're big components, they have big ovens, and you get a really good heat treatment when you do things in an oven.
Yeah.
Now, we're trying to mimic that when we do it locally.
Yeah.
The problem with that is it's very hard to do because we're not allowed to cook the whole thing.
And the environment's around you. Yeah.
Exactly. We're out in the wild, with the winds and all different temperatures. We're trying to do it -40 instead of a controlled
rain, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So that the electrical resistance process has really changed just with the qualifications and the code stuff and everything like that. But the other heat treating processes, they're always been there. There's not much change in them except we're putting a lot more effort into making sure we're doing them properly.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. That's the biggest thing.
And then for like electrical resistance, how does that work? How does that heat up a part? How localized can it be?
Well, electrical resistance theoretically is we're running current through a resistor. The resistor's heating up the wires and getting hot. That wire is covered by ceramic beads, which can contain the heat without disintegrating, melting or anything like that. And then that heat is transferred to the pipe via conduction. So we can be very precise because we can make these pad heaters.
Kind of like the hot wires in a toaster.
Yep, exactly. Except we have them insulated and we're controlling them and we're putting them on manually and stuff like that.
Awesome. So then you can, relatively follow the weld, and just heat up what you need without heating up what you don't need.
That's right. Yeah. Well, like I said, the heaters themselves are called flexible ceramic pad heaters. They come in all kinds of different sizes and shapes. And then the technician is the one who designs that process and how they're going to be put onto, into specific areas and control heat sinks or heat losses or heat blocks and all kinds of other thermodynamics is the big word that they talk about it. And that's what we have to work. Same as welders, welders got to put the rod around there, but everybody looks at a welder, it's very easy. It's not.
No, there's a lot. And we use the terms thermal resistivity, thermal conductivity. At the end of the day, they're all part of the dynamics family. So
exactly. So we're working together.
Well, I mean, it's building in the mines. We preheating and post-heating was life, right? It was in every code. We had to do it to anything over a half inch. We were, sitting on torches half the day, And then they started bringing in newer equipment and electrical resistance. And it was like, oh, this is way easier.
Yeah. And a lot more precise. Too, right?
And then they started bringing in technicians, which was the next step that we're doing it. And we got to just, sit and watch. And then he'd be like, yep, okay, go. And it was like, that's really nice. Right. To have that kind of the team now. It's not just you as a welder faking your way through a preheat with very rudimentary tools. Things are getting dialed in, right?
Yeah, and you're getting a record of something happening well, right? Because he did produce charts and things like that. I didn't know how they got away with it. Tiger Torch now every day, everybody wants a record of everything.
Oh man, it was pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, a funny story we talk about the welding, because we were working at Syncrude in the mines, or Suncor in the mines. We were doing a bucket wheel there, and we had a 300 Fahrenheit degree preheat that we were running with, and they were using torches before and everything like that. And the welding crew, the apprentice, had the wrong temp sticks.
Oh.
And the welder kept saying, "Why is this so hot? Why is this so hot?" So he had a 600 degree Fahrenheit temp stick, right? But the other one he had was a 400 degrees Celsius temp stick. So you're 800 degrees Fahrenheit. So they were just doing it a lot hotter. Things happen.
Well, you get it hot, then you wait an hour.
Yeah.
What do they say? You lose about 70 degrees an hour in the open air, something like that. Someone told me.
Could be.
It was like some formula for if you screw up, you got to wait. It's probably made up somewhere in the field, but you pick up a lot of those little weird numbers out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what about induction heating? What's that and what's the difference?
Well, induction heating is a completely different animal. I'm not a subject matter expert in induction heating. I took a course during the Christmas break here last year and stuff like that. So that's inducing a current through a magnetism and all kinds of different things. They produce eddy currents. It's very, very scientific. But that's used for a lot of different, it heats up stuff very, very quickly. Yeah. So we can take something from ambient temperature up to 1,000 degrees, 2,000 degrees within minutes. Yeah. Right. So they do that for expansion, turbine expansion, expansion on nuts or bolts when they're trying to take
shafts.
them
It with shafts, like when you have to do sleeves.
Yeah. So the heating process is a completely different scientific world, and it's just used for different things. And we don't use induction very much for our local post-weld heat treating, for post-weld heat treating after two pieces of pipe have been welded together. Yeah. It can be, but that's not what it's set up.
And it would be really expensive, and the tooling's still not as common, right?
That's right. Yeah, and you're right, they are very, very expensive. Yeah.
Now, in Alberta, with your company, like you just started, you said, at Tech Heat 2 months ago?
A month ago, yeah.
A month ago?
But I've been familiar with the contractor side for 30 years.
So what drew you into to come under the family here?
Well, I worked with the owner there years ago and stuff like that. Yeah, Scott, when I was with a different heat treating contract, he actually worked for me for a period of time. And then he'd moved over and done some other things. And he was very instrumental in the trade program development and stuff like that as well. So when I was with the QCC and I was ready to transition, and I had a great career with the Quality Control Council of Canada as well. And it was just time for me to do something, getting a little closer to retirement. One last kick to change something up like that. Yeah. And me and him were talking about a few things and his vision for the Competency Manager role that I have within Tech Heat, carrying on the training and everything still with the heat treating thing, kept everything intact with me morally, what I've been doing since 1991. Yeah. and it's a great opportunity for me to finish my career out with a company that's very, very forward thinking, and they like their technicians, and we want to, we are very, very proud of the technicians, and we want to move that forward, which not all contractors do, and that's what made my decision to come over and work with Tech Heat.
And since you've gotten back in the industry now, back in front of people with the equipment, kind of back and developing and supporting these training programs, what is it that you're going to bring to the flavor now? Because I'm sure you have a vision of what you want to see happen within Tech Heat and the training. What is it that you want to start seeing within the company or bring to it?
Well, I just want to continue making sure that the craft is recognized. That's really what my end goal is. The competency part of it is to ensure that our people are doing things the best they can. The Tech Heat way is the one way. So that's putting it out for the Tech Heat way. But most off is just to ensure that we, the continued improvement and understanding of our craft and our technicians and the importance of it. Like with the changes, all these new changes that are coming up. We get into this when we're in this very specialized industry. You get into this thing. Do people really care? Because we're so small and we don't get recognized for it. So we really want to push that the work that we're doing is important, and they do need us. Yeah. Even though
they'll care when things fail.
Exactly.
That's when you really care.
And that's the thing with our job. It's kind of thankless because what we do, the results don't.
If you don't hear from them, it's good.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, right. Yeah, that's a big thing. Is I want to carry on and make sure that people are aware of how much I appreciate the trade, and I think the trade should be recognized and it should be more appreciated than it is.
So is it something, like you said, it was apprenticeship? Is it nationally recognized Red Seal?
No, it's not. That's the next mission that we're kind of trying to look forward to.
And that's through the CCDA. Yeah.
Well, that I haven't figured that one quite out yet. So it took a long time, like 16 years. We got it in Alberta, New Brunswick, and now Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
I've made application to other provinces, but because we're so small, they really don't.
Well, and that's probably your 3 major mining provinces right there, too.
Yeah.
There's probably some alignment to that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. And then as long as they work together, but now you're trying to get government agencies working together. And sometimes that's a little tricky.
Well, we live in that sphere. We're constantly trying to navigate because we are one step out of government, right? We're not CSA. We're basically hired by CSA, right? So trying to navigate that sphere of supporting industry, but still keeping the government happy is a tricky spot.
Yeah. And that's what I tried to navigate that with the Quality Control Council, which is tough because I have other people to answer to and some other people have different directives. But we're still going to try to foster that within Tech Heat and within the Cooper Heat organization and stuff like that. So we're not going to give up on that either. We're going to try to continue this, and that's our end goal, is to get the trade red sealed across Canada.
Well, that sounds super interesting. Like, I mean, any time we can develop another trade avenue, it means that there's a need for it. Industry needs it, and that's those are all positive things, right?
Yeah. No, and the CWB is a great organization that we can do, come to these conferences and stuff like that, because a lot of the CW people are involved with us. They work with us in the field, and then they can promote us as well.
Well, let's finish on that note, specifically about this conference. What is it that Tech Heat, Cooper Heat, as an umbrella company, hope to get out of attending and sponsoring these type of events?
Well, I can't speak for Cooper Heat, in general. I've only been here a month and a bit, but I understand they want to have the exposure. And, when I talked to Scott here today, he said when he comes to these things, he's not even selling his product. He wants to do what's good for the industry and support the industry. And when you do that, good things happen in return. Yeah. That's what we're doing. We're here to support the industry. I mean, CWB is a great organization, and that's what we're here for.
Have you had a pretty good response at your booth today?
Well, we don't have a booth here or anything like that.
No, okay. I was wondering if you guys were set up out there.
No, we don't have a booth.
So you've been just pitching to everybody?
Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah. I'm not in the sales part, but we're pushing it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So.
And which of the sessions have you attended?
The other one I attended just before mine was a heat treating of the 3D metal forming stuff there, because they're getting into heat treating
with
issues.
The WHAM,
because of different microstructures and stuff like that, which I found very interesting, but it's very, very new too.
Yeah, because WHAM goes in at a much lower temperature, so post heat is very essential, right?
Yeah, and I wasn't very familiar with WHAM at all. When I saw the acronym, I had to look it up. I'm like, that's what they're called. Everything's an acronym nowadays. I can't keep up with it, right? Yeah, but that's the session I watched, and I'm going to watch another one here this afternoon. So
awesome. Well, this has been a fantastic interview. I'm really, really happy with the support that we get from Cooper Heat and Tech Heat. You guys being here, presenting, and being a part of the family. We're always looking to see how we can support. So just let us know what we can do to help support your initiatives, because I know personally as a welder how important this part of the industry is right now and will be. 30 years ago, like we said, it was a fly on the wall. And now it's getting to be it's a part of codes. There's an apprenticeship cycle. The future's bright and strong for your industry.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really happy that's my first podcast ever did. I'm glad it was conducted by a welder. We actually had really good things to talk about.
Absolutely. And I've done the things that you were talking about.
Yeah, so none of this is scripted or anything, so that's awesome.
Any messages for the audience about Tech Heat, how to get a hold of you guys and find out about you?
Any of the social medias, we're online all the time. We're a high-tech company. We're a full-service company. We do all kinds of heat treatment. We do all three. We do electrical resistance, induction, and combustion. So get a hold of us anytime. We're here to support the needs, and we're here to support the technicians. So we're definitely your go-to heat treating contractor. I can guarantee you that.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. And for all the people listening, thanks so much to our sponsors that are here at Welding Industry Day supporting us. And again, for all the people that have attended and our great, staff and everybody here, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Well, we still got another day and a half here to go. So, and it's going to be fantastic. Make sure you check out all the episodes that we're recording this week and learn and support. And of course, we couldn't do it without our sponsors. So awesome. Thank you very much.
I thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed the show.